Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 69. That's probably like 30, but of BSJ analyzes replays of his viewers.
Banana slam jam.
This is a 4.2k Tusk playing 4 position. He said to go all out, don't hold back. Starting items are whatevs. At Sagan's Monkey King, I would probably consider boots and cutting the creep wave. But maybe not.
It's in the 30 seconds to battle.
I wouldn't just show myself in the river like this. That seems minus EV.
The battle begins.
There's just like no benefit to sitting in the river like that. Maybe walk around to the left. So Ogre, Monkey King, okay. It's definitely really important against Monkey King you don't feed him the Jingu stacks. Definitely very important, so you're already griefing your lane. Yeah, I'd say this is definitely a lane that boots with cutting the creep wave would have been better.
Denied.
Let's see what you proceed to do from here. The lane's pushing into their tower. You should definitely look to pull the big camp. So just a lot of fundamentally bad things. You're against a lane that, I assure you, if you asked your Centaur if he wanted to lane directly here, he would answer no. So what that usually means is you're supposed to drag the second wave behind your tower. And then when the lane's pushing into their tower, I guarantee you any offlaner, if you asked them what they wanted you to do, they'd say to pull the big camp. That is about 90% of the time, if not more. I don't know how people make it to 4K without knowing this shit. Continuing. BSJ, he said to go all out. I am. I'm being passive-aggressive as well. Stop being content to lane against them normally. Pull camps. Pull creep waves. Why are you sitting in the trees doing nothing? Your Centaur is asking himself, why the fuck is this guy AFK? If you don't want the lane to be stable, what I mean is, if the lane just sits there, doesn't a hero like Monkey King benefit from that? You want the lane to be slingshotting and bouncing all over the fucking place. You want creeps randomly thrown all on the map. You want them behind your tier 1. You want creeps being at this pull camp. You want 3 different laning stages in the top lane to be going on at once. Why are you just sitting here and letting this guy lane normally? That seems bad. And you know what? It is bad. Another wave goes by with no pull and no creep cutting. Very nice. Now we get to soak XP underneath or near our tier 1 where our Centaur doesn't need our help. Man, this is good stuff right here. Imagine how high of MMR you're going to go if you just don't do the fundamental things that make a 4 position bad. Oh, you're going to pull! Sick. Better late than never, I guess. Oh, it was actually at a point where the lane was pushing towards you, such that the Centaur was allowed to be aggressed on, and thus the pull didn't work. It's almost like you're supposed to pull the wave when it's pushing, not when it's pulling against you. That's crazy. So even then, you managed to go pull, and it wasn't correct. Crazy. BSJ, are you being a little mean? No, I think he needed to hear it. He said he was ready. Not bad mechanical skill, but at this point you've kind of already, like, given this Monkey King a free game. So this is the good old give the enemy carry a free game, can't do anything, leave your offlaner on his own little island to do whatever he's gonna do. Oh, okay, you're coming back top? Okay. Okay. Not a bad play. Cool. That was actually pretty good. Still refused to pull that big camp, huh? So when you kill somebody, the whole idea is you want the lane to be good when they come back. What this 20 seconds does is it says, hey, I have 23 seconds where there's no carry in the game, and I can do whatever in this lane I want to do. So you should quickly look at the lane equilibrium and say, oh, it's pushing? I don't want this guy to just get lane or the wave underneath his tower when he respawns. I'm going to fix that. BSJ, how are you going to fix that? You're going to fucking pull the big camp because it's pushing. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I've been having some tilting pubs for the people on YouTube.
Radiant's middle tower.
Why are you sitting there farming the creep wave with your centaur? Pull the camp! Oh, okay, now Monkey King is to come back to a nice, juicy 6 creeps instead of having to walk through to farm the big camp that you pulled. And potentially putting himself out of position and having the lane push into your centaur. Oh, let's leave the centaur. Now that we left the lane equilibrium where it was, which was bad for the centaur, let's leave! That sounds like a great idea. So now my centaur dies top and I feed mid. Very cool.
Is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
At this point, you kind of do need to sit behind your centaur, but it doesn't feel good. At this point, we can safely say you've griefed your lane. You're level 5 at 11.5 minutes.
Dire's bottom tower
I assure you, your MMR will skyrocket as a 4 position if you give your offlaner a good game, or at least better than you're doing.
is under attack.
These are all fundamental things that apply in every single game, and when it comes to like lane equilibrium, understanding, pulling, and everything, like these movements are fine, like nothing mechanically wrong. You haven't done anything mechanically strange. You guys are trying to make pretty aggressive moves. I guess it's like okay, but you guys have an alch. You should probably be content chilling a bit. Your alchemist is playing up at their tower even though you guys are all dead. Fascinating. So I think the long story short of supports, the strongest indicator that you're bad is based on how much time you're spending just sitting there watching your carry farm or watching your offlaner farm. There are times where it's correct. I don't want you to feel like you always have to do something, but there's always options. Cutting the creep wave, pulling the big camp, going and stacking one of the triangle camps. There's a ton of options for you. And the only time you should be sitting in the trees next to your offlaner is when either all of those options are bad, or if you were to leave the lane, your offlaner would be in trouble. So when you rotated mid that one time, the biggest thing about it is that you need to think about what the lane equilibrium needs to look like for your offlaner for him to feel good. And you need to think about like what the dynamic of the lane is that you're leaving, what it's going to look like. Like what is going to happen if I leave my offlaner alone? Well, if you leave Centaur alone against Monkey King Ogre with the lane not pushing into his tower, then he's gonna fucking die. Like, that's no fucking secret. What do you think's gonna happen? He's either gonna sit back and get nothing, or he's gonna die. So you can't rotate mid when that happens. You need to, like, leave your offlaner in a situation where you're allowed to leave. And you need to think, like, what that situation needs to be. So if you want to rotate, you need to create that situation, and then you leave. You can't just leave. Like, that... I'm coming from a personal, biased standpoint of being an offlaner and just watching my 4 positions do this kind of shit. And I go, dude, what are you doing? Like, think about my game for 1 second. And they just don't get what I'm saying. So now I'm getting to rage at you. And you are my scapegoat. You are my punching bag. I am taking it out on you as a way to vent my emotions about all the shitty 4 positions I get in pubs. So please, think about your offlaner's lane, and think about, if I leave, what's that going to mean for him? Okay. I think you should just keep playing around top. I think this is reasonable. No reason to play around an alchemist like the rest of your team is. That's kind of weird. What's our alchemist got? Would love for you to check his items. I don't know what his items are. He's going Battle Fury. Fascinating. Very fascinating. What happened here? How did you die? You're warding top. You see 2 heroes. Okay, so you just sentry to ward. You actually dodged RP. That was pretty pog. Your mechanics on Tusk are pretty good. I'll give you that. Like, you just snowball dodged an RP and you shard blocked yourself away from them. But I can tell you that most 4K players, their problem is not mechanics. That is oftentimes not the problem. There's some, but for the most part, You can, I would say you're probably like 5.5, 6K mechanically and like 3K conceptually. I think that's what about balances you out to be 4.5. Like, I've definitely had supports come into my coaching sessions, lower MMR than you, that did the fundamentals of supporting far better than you have. But I've also seen them not be able to push buttons nearly as well as you have. So what I'm trying to say is, usually with players of your bracket, you know, your 4.5 MMR or whatever, 4.2, is your approximate average of all your skills of the entire game of Dota 2. You can just not worry about mechanics for a while, because you've got that down. Let's worry about not being a conceptual potato. That's a good start. I would definitely be carrying a smoke on me at this stage in the game. I'd be thinking about who am I sitting behind in order to protect them, because I am a save. And if I'm not going to sit behind somebody, like, this is technically protecting somebody because this is where the opponent is making an aggressive move and you are taking the farm. So that's okay, I guess. But the fact that you're, like, making this move again with no smoke is kind of, like, awkward. It just feels like you guys keep walking at top. Your movements are very telegraphed, very obvious, very slow. And luckily this Monkey King was nice enough to just TP here, but now it's like, because of how slow this is, they, like, know you're coming. They just channel one at a time and they're still killing you. All of your moves, including laning stage, including in the game, are just very half-assed. You just kind of walk places. You kind of just do things. You just pull. You just try to go on a guy and feed him Jingu stacks. You just try to go top, because that's the right place to go. You actually need to do what you're doing correctly. And at the correct times. Like, you need to understand why you're supposed to pull. You need to understand if you're going to walk to a place that has been warded consistently by the opponent team for the last, like, 5 minutes. You can't just walk there. You have to actually smoke. That's your job. You're a 4 position. You have to smoke for that. That tower was really important. You guys have been running your head against a fucking wall trying to kill that tower. Why not smoke and just get it in one fell swoop rather than running your head into a wall continuously? I don't hate your positioning on the map most of this game. Like, I think you playing around mid now is pretty reasonable. You guys haven't lost a tower yet, so all things considered, this game's going okay, even though you're down 23-8. You're sitting behind your cores. The game's just ugly because you have an alchemist and you're down by 3K.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, overall, your button pressing is quite good. Haven't really shocked me there. And right now, you're playing the right part of the map. Good D ward.
Dire's top tower. Radiant's structure. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's Dire's middle fort is under attack.
I don't know if Blink Dagger is the best item here. It's a little bit weird because they have a Zeus who's going to cancel your Blink. You already have Blink initiators. If you're going Blink for the save, I guess that's okay. But since you already have Blink initiators, you definitely don't need it for the initiation.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I would consider, like, Glimmer Cape against these heroes. I'd consider Force Staff. I'd consider Spirit Vessel.
Radiant's middle tower.
Even maybe a Pipe, but obviously your Centaur's building one of those.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Maybe even a Medallion for your Alchemist, because Alchemist is just one of those types of heroes where usually your items are all about making him stronger. I don't think Blink Dagger is terrible, but since you have so many Blink Daggers already, I don't think you need one. I don't think it's like a game-changing item. You have really no aura builders other than Centaur, who's going to go Pipe. You have, like, no utility building items type heroes, so I would have considered going more utility.
Radiant's middle tower.
Like, I don't think Blink on Tusk is ever trash, but I wouldn't argue it's the best item here.
Is under attack.
Maybe you're thinking you want to Blink save from the RP. If that's what you're thinking, I can get behind that. But if you're doing it for catch, I don't like it. Okay. Still haven't bought a single smoke this entire game. That should be alarming in and of itself. I think you blinking in first is even worse because you already have heroes that do that. So you have to imagine, if you guys blink and go on somebody, what's going to happen in return? If it's Monkey King, you're going to get RP'd. If it's somebody else, you're going to get Boundless Dragged, right? Like, that's what's going to happen. So if you guys clump up with your Blink Daggers, you're just going to have that exact same thing happen to you. So if you're going to buy a Blink, which, like I said, is okay, if it's for the save mechanic, then you have to think, if we go on this guy, this is what's going to happen. So I should save my Blink for after the opponent responds, and I can snowball my team or whatever. But instead, you all blink on him at the same time, because you have 3 aggressive Blink Daggers, and you get RP'd, and you get Boundless Striked. So I'd say that's really the last example I got here. I think it really shows that in general, with the laning stage, with your items, with your pulls, with your rotations, it's all kind of just autopiloted. None of it's coming with any amount of thought. Like, let's be honest. Like, you said you were ready to get roasted. I'm not going to hold back. Like, if you think about everything I've explained out to you on a silver platter here, how much of it, when I watch your game, sounds like it makes any sense, right? Like, if you're going to buy the Blink, that's the only reason I can come up with, which is fine, but you didn't even do it for that reason. So, when you're thinking about your items, when you're thinking about rotations, when you're thinking about whether or not you're cutting creeps or pulling, when you're thinking about, like, what your role in the game is, that should reflect all of your item choices, all of the exact decisions you make, and you'll just be way better. Because I can already say one more time, your button pressing is very good. You don't need to worry about that. So, thanks for participating in my grill session for the day. Hope your anus is not bleeding. He's already dead. GIF.